here. How you doing? You want this?
Oh, good. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, August 13th, 2015. And may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Jones? Here. Sanchez?
Here.
Myers? Here. Martin?
Here.
Malinowski?
Here.
Schreiber? Here. Tillman? Esposito?
Here.
Barron?
Here.
Gillespie?
Here.
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Tillman?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Stephen Klein, Vice President Stephen Klein is excused, as well as Commissioner Tom Bowman. At this time, will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to announce that there was an executive session earlier this evening to discuss a personnel matter. At this time, I'd like to call on Acting Vice President Commissioner Laurie Schreiber for approval of the minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting on July 9th, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our first order of business will be the Public Works Committee, and I'd like to call on the Assistant Director, Stephen Kalinowski.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Luker. This is PW1. This is a motion to authorize the payment of $48,317.28 to the National Water Main Cleaning Company as final payment for the sanitary sewer pipelining contract to be funded by account number 17-10-851-7479. And I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. This PW2 is a motion to approve final payment to Laura Systems for the Abington Township Municipal Waste Transfer Station Radiation Detection Equipment Project in the amount of $6,180 to be funded from the Refuse Reserve Capital Fund, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
PW3, this is a motion to approve payment to Associate Paving Contractors for the repair of the Shady Lane Guide Rail in the amount of $17,575 to be funded from contingency fund. The township will seek reimbursement from Geico Insurance Company for the accident, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner Kalinowski, does that conclude your agenda, sir?
That concludes my agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Luker.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to move to Code Enforcement and Land Development and call on Commissioner Ben Sanchez, Director.
Thank you, President Luker. Tonight, we will have back-to-back public hearings on unrelated topics, beginning with CE1, a public hearing on ordinance number 2093, ordinance to amend Section 801N of the zoning ordinance, the purpose to regulate seasonal outdoor sales with the township. And I will yield the floor back to you, Mr. President, for the public hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. At this time, I'd like to open the hearing for ordinance number 2093, ordinance to amend Section 801.N of the zoning ordinance, purpose to regulate seasonal outdoor sales with the township. And at this time, I'd like to call on Zoning Officer Mark Pennical.
Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioners. You've heard this application before.
Excuse me, Mark. Prior to your submitting, can I ask council, they want to weigh in on a comment before we start the hearing? Thank you. This is our Assistant Attorney, Lauren Gallagher. Thank you.
Thank you, President Luker. This matter was before the board previously, as Mr. Pennical indicated, and there was a change with the distance from the brick-and-mortar stores from 1,000 feet to 1,500 feet, and because of that, it was re-advertised and rescheduled for this evening.
So it moved from 1,000 feet to 1,500 feet,
Correct.
okay? All right, thank you very much. My apologies. Mark Penical.
Commissioners, the only thing I can add to that for you is the change has been made. The ordinance was properly advertised, and I'm in possession of a proof of publication from Montgomery News validating the advertisement of the changed ordinance, or revised ordinance. Other than that, Commissioner, one change was made, increase in the minimum distance from the potential vendors, 1,500 feet to the brick and mortar store, instead of the prior draft which said 1,000 feet.
Okay, that's it? Okay, are there any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? All right, I see 2 residents signed up for CE1. Edith Schmidt, could you come forward, name and address for the record, please? And prior to your starting, I'd like all residents who are going to speak regarding this ordinance to remember the 3-minute time limit.
No problem.
Thank you.
I just have basically one request. The brick and mortar businesses have requested me to ask, my name is Edith Schmidt, 1160 Bradfield Avenue, Elite Florals, also representing Penny's Flowers, with the support of Krem's Flowers, In Bloom, Kessler's Flowers, Rhodes Flowers, and so on. We ask that it would be a verbal vote, a roll call vote when you do vote on this, please, so that we are aware of who has voted which way. Is that acceptable to you, sir?
I don't have any problem with that. Council or township manager have a problem with that?
Thank you, that's all.
Permissible under the law.
I'm sorry?
It's permissible but not required under the law.
Middle, okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Peter Molinari, Esquire. Name and address for the record, please.
Certainly. Peter Mardinley. My business address is 900 West Sprout Road, Suite 101, Springfield, Pennsylvania, 19064. I'm here and I would like to enter my appearance on behalf of a business that does business on a seasonal basis in Abington Township and has done that for on the order of 30 to 40 years. That business is Holiday Plants Incorporated. I think prior to the change from 1,000 to 1,500 feet, generally speaking, the 4 existing locations that have been used for many, many years would not be impacted. I have a couple of questions as to the impact of this ordinance. One is, it's a zoning ordinance, and we feel that these are prior non-conforming uses once this goes into effect, and we'd like your assurance that those prior existing uses will continue to be permitted. That's one issue that you have to consider, I think. It's been a continuous use here for a long period of time. Second is, and the remarks of Ms. Schmidt pretty much bear this out, there are no other businesses that are given protection by saying you cannot have competition from another commercial business. This is not, in our estimation, a valid exercise of the zoning power to prohibit competition. And we object to the terms of the ordinance in that respect. We have no problem and have paid taxes to Abington Township in the past. We have a long record of that. I have a computer record that goes back, frankly, to 2000 that shows that. But when you look at this ordinance, if the next step is to say at certain locations this existing long-standing seasonal business is no longer allowed to rent properties so that some of your landlords are going to suffer and operate a business, we object to that because it is a non-conforming use. It is existing and it is intended to continue to exist. They do Easter and Mother's Day, and we submit that they are protected by the existence of that use today, and if this ordinance is passed as it currently is constituted, tomorrow. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions? Excuse me. Counsel, who are you representing for clarification?
Pennsylvania Business Corporation, Holiday Plants, Inc.
Okay.
Has our solicitor looked into this issue?
Sorry. It's something that we are currently looking into. It's not actually an issue that's really ripe for us to make a final determination right now. When and if we get a permit application that, where it would fall within that 1,500 feet, and that the facts that council has brought up were present, then we would certainly be required to render a decision. However, either way that it's decided wouldn't affect the terms of this ordinance. It's a legal issue that's
Right.
the interpretation and enforcement of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have two questions.
Commissioner Kalinowski.
Holiday Plants, Inc., Jay, are they a registered business in Abington Township?
They are.
They are. Okay, very good. The second question is, do you have long-term leases with these properties where you sell the flowers? Or is it a year-to-year, or a annually, or a holiday-based sale, I guess? And do these businesses register these companies as a plant sales on their properties? Am I asking that question right? I don't know. Some people are looking at me like I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway. Yeah, what I'm asking is, are holiday plants have leases with these properties, and have they continued that over the years? Or is it a holiday-to-holiday base lease with the properties where they sell flowers? I don't know. That's why I'm-
I don't know either.
I
To
don't
my
know.
knowledge, there are 4 locations that have been operated for a long period of time. I don't have all the facts here. I'm not an owner of Holiday Plants.
Okay.
But there are probably documents and certainly payments and a handshake that you're going to continue to do business there. So
I absolutely understand that. Okay. I guess my other question, what are the 4 properties? Do we know that?
We do know that. Traditionally, Commissioner, they've been the dry cleaner that's located at the intersection of Easton Road and Brookdale Avenue. It's the gas station. It's the gas station that's currently a Luke Oil at the intersection of Susquehanna Road and Easton Road. It's the gas station that's currently a Luke Oil at the intersection of Old York Road and Highland Avenue. And it's a gas station that's currently a Luke Oil at Old York Road and Moreland Road are the 4 locations. Am I correct, Solicitor?
I have the street addresses. You know the crossroads. I'm not in the flower business. I'm an attorney.
That's been the general layout for, this has been an issue, I guess, for the last 4 or 5 years. That's been the location. Some of those locations, I can tell you, they've been in operation there over 20 years.
So I guess my next thing would be, we have talked about other locations where they sell flowers. That would not be affected, or would that be affected by Holiday Plants, Inc.? Or is we only looking at these 4 properties
No,
right now at this
Commissioner,
time?
the ordinance is township-wide.
I understand that. I'm saying they're asking for it to be pretty much grandfathered that these 4 properties can still sell flowers, correct?
That's what they've requested, yes.
Okay. And the addresses will be given to us, or?
Yeah, really, I guess the point is, if the ordinance passes and then they apply for a permit, then the zoning office will have to determine with the solicitor whether it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. If legally it's a pre-existing non-conforming use, it'll then be grandfathered and they can continue to operate. If it's not a pre-existing non-conforming use, which is a well-litigated term,
Correct.
they then will not be able to operate. So it's a little bit of a complicated legal question, because what is a pre-existing in a non-conforming use? Is it a continuous use and a continuous use on certain holidays? It's going to be a very specific legal question. But it really, as far as the ordinance, it really isn't. No one's going to determine whether they're grandfathered or not until it's ripe, as she said. And being ripe means they have to apply for the permit, and then it has to be analyzed by the township if, in fact, the ordinance is in place. So.
And Mr. Penacall can probably answer this better than I can, but I believe 2 of the locations, they're outside the 1,500 feet anyway, so I think that those 2 locations, it doesn't matter.
Currently, yes.
Okay, I'll go with Commissioner Gillespie, Commissioner Myers, then Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. I just, Commissioner Kalinowski, were you trying to find out if they were leasing for a year or just
Yeah, how that was set
that
up.
day?
I understand the businesses a business at hand, but they could pretty much move wherever throughout the township. I wanted to make sure that these 4 properties are what we're talking about and not talking about this company going within this boundary which we're trying to set through this ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. I just want to, I realize that this is very much a legal question, but I just want to bring up a couple of points. 3 of the locations, I think, were Luke Oils. I really don't think that those Luke Oils went into business saying, I'm going to rent that corner every year and get rental on that corner. I think they depend on selling gas, and if there's an opportunity to make a little more money, so be it. I don't think they count on that. I also don't think that Holiday Plants, if they decide not to use the location at one particular Luke Oil, is going to pay them if they're not going to be there. So I'm not the judge or the jury here, but I think the grandfathering is exactly what we don't want. The whole intent, the whole spirit of this ordinance was to protect our bricks and mortar businesses. If a business of the same nature moves in next door to another business, we have no say over that. And so competition is alive and well in Abington Township. But let's really protect the people that are employing people 12 months a year here.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. 2 quick questions, and I don't want to delve into, pulling apart the legality, but just food for thought. Question number 1, for the pre-existing non-conforming use, that would go to the specific property. So if I have a business and I rent or use that property for the last 100 years, and then I decide to move, just because I did it in one place, that doesn't come with me, it's only specific to the property, correct?
Correct. The use would run with the property, and the converse of that is true, so that if you sold that business to another individual, they would be able to continue that use of the same property.
Thank you. The second would be, when we talk, and I guess this is something that would be looked at, and we hear that they've been doing things for 20 years, I would make the assumption that for 20 years in a row, continuously, I've never missed a holiday, I've never missed this, and I don't know if we have that data.
Do we have data? No. The only thing I can tell you, Commissioner, is for 24 years I've owned a home on Brookdale Avenue. And for the entire time that I've lived on Brookdale, at the top of that street, at the dry cleaners, at the intersection, twice a year, well, actually in the beginning, once a year, they were set up for the sale of flowers. Somewhere in the last 8 to 10 years, they started selling on both Mother's Day and Easter. It used to be just Easter at one point.
Thank you. And for the record, in those 24 years, you've never bought me flowers, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that.
I'll pull you some news this evening.
And Commissioner, that your point is a good one, because the determination of whether or not an individual use is going to be a pre-existing nonconformity is going to depend on the specific facts of the use that we're talking about. We're only really talking in generalities right now, so that's why we haven't been able to give a definitive answer this evening.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zappone.
Yeah, I have a question for the attorney. At the Ardsley train station, do they have a lease with SEPTA, or do they just set up shop and have a nice day?
Address.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure where you're speaking
Do
of.
they have a lease with SEPTA to set up shop at the Ardsley train station?
Dennis, I answered
It's
that
not
question.
holiday
It's
flowers.
not part of that holiday.
I know that.
Oh,
I
okay.
know it's not part of this,
That's
but
not what you're
I
presenting.
want to find out if they do.
I don't think the company that I represent is operating at that location. I may be wrong. I was asked to deal with these 4 locations that I'm aware of, and to bring these facts to you. I'm not aware of any SEPTA lease with this company, but I don't think they're operating there. I may be mistaken, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair question to ask counsel, because he doesn't
Well, then
represent.
somebody's operating there. How can we find that out? What company is marked? Is there any way to find that out?
Yes, sir, I would imagine.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Well, if the ordinance is passed, they're now required to submit for a permit to be there. So the permit's going to give you whoever the ownership group is. I'm sure once the permit application is established, it'll require a registration with the tax office, so we have 2 means to get to it.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Spiegelman.
Just a couple of questions. Solicitor Gallagher, That determination, if the ordinance passes, that determination of whether or not these businesses would be grandfathered, what body would actually be the arbiter of that decision? Who would be judging that?
It's a legal determination, so my office in connection with Mr. Penical's office would be able to make that determination.
But with the likely appeal to the zoning board, if I'm not
Yes,
right
it would be an appealable decision, correct.
Thank you, Commissioner. And then one other question, just to clarify, the terms of the permit application under this ordinance, would those be annual, quarterly, holiday by holiday, daily? What are the terms of the?
The ordinance gives the applicant some flexibility to request the permit for a defined period of time. They could do it for one day at a time, or they could do it for the maximum under the ordinance, which is
90 days. Yes, you know what, I recall that. All right then, thank you.
Any other questions of commissioners? Okay, any from staff? Okay, thank you, Councilor.
Hold on.
Hold on, Mr. Blumenthal. Is this a question of the
Of the solicitor?
solicitor? Yes.
All right, since I'm the tax collector, I do collect taxes from Holiday, but I will tell you that I also collect taxes from the Luke Oil, and I seriously doubt they show rental income on this and that there is a lease. It's just my comment. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of the council at the podium? Okay, thank you, sir.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from residents? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the hearing at this time and call for the vote, and it was being requested that we have a roll call vote. I don't have a problem with that. Council says there's no problem with that. So, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sapone?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer? Yes. Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalinowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Freiber?
Yes.
Commissioner DePlacido?
Yes.
Commissioner Farren?
Yes.
Commissioner Gillespie?
Yes.
Commissioner Hecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Spiegelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Luker?
Yes. And I guess in my apologies, I should have read the motion. Is that correct? But it was read in the beginning, so. That's true. Okay, we're okay then. So that closes the hearing, and the motion passes. Any objections? Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing for resolution number 15-024, transfer of liquor license number R19572, Orland Associates LLC, restaurant. And again, I'd like to call on, you know what, Lauren, I had you marked down to call on you at this juncture, so it was last, okay, so we're okay. All right, Mark, I'd like to call on you as the zoning officer to open up the hearing, sir.
Certainly. Commissioners, what you have in front of you is a resolution to transfer a liquor license for Bernie's Restaurant. The liquor license number is listed in your agenda, from Springfield Township, the Orland section of Springfield Township, to the site that we know of at Highland, which was the old Willard site, which is currently the LA Fitness site. This is your third involvement with this site. We originally did a conditional use approval, amended a conditional use application for this particular restaurant. You did an amended land development plan, and this is the last and final step for this board, is the transfer of the liquor license application. The application was advertised, the resolution was advertised. In my hand is a proof of publication from Montgomery News. The ad was run. In addition to that, there's a public notice, a mailing list that went out, and I apologize, I do not have the picture that the property was posted. That posting was done prior to the 20th of last month. So in front of you, you have a resolution to consider for the transfer of liquor license number R19572 for Bernie's Restaurant.
Commissioner, if I may?
Yes, Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Mr. Penical indicated, this is a public hearing for a liquor license transfer application. As I indicated last week to the board, this hearing is being held for the purposes of receiving comments and recommendations of interested individuals residing within the municipality concerning the applicant's intent to transfer a liquor license into the municipality of Abington Township. This application was submitted by Andrew D. Santana, Esquire, of Fox Rothschild, and was submitted on June 1st, 2015. The Pennsylvania Liquor Code requires the township render a decision within 45 days of the submission of a complete application, or in the alternative, within an additional 60 days at the township's election, as was the case this evening. We have reviewed and found the application to be substantially complete. The Pennsylvania Liquor Code sets forth certain mandatory provisions with respect to the processing of applications for intermunicipal transfers of a liquor license. Section 4-461B3 of the Liquor Code provides that an intermunicipal transfer of a license must first be approved by the governing body of the receiving municipality when the total number of existing restaurant liquor licenses and eating place retail dispenser licenses in the receiving municipality equals or exceeds one license per 3,000 inhabitants. We have contacted the quota office of the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board and confirmed that Abington Township has an excess of one license per 3,000 residents. Accordingly, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board may not approve a new license unless the township first holds a public hearing and approves the intermunicipal transfer application. The township is required to render its decision by resolution or ordinance, and we provided for the board this evening a copy of a resolution approving the transfer and a copy of a resolution denying the transfer. The applicant this evening is represented by Andrew Santana.
Thank you, Councilor. For those watching, this is Lauren Gallagher, first chair for our solicitor. All right, are there any comments from commissioners? Commissioner Farron.
Thank you, President Luker. I'm sure all the commissioners are very well aware of Bernie's and the application, and I don't want to retread the ground that we've covered already, but I do want to say a couple of quick things. Number one, the owner is currently operating with a license, the current Bernie's establishment. He's doing so successfully, and I think with the new location that he's trying to use, it just makes sense to transfer that application over to the new location. To do so is going to hinder his business, is going to, I think, come to a rough situation that might come to bear with some of the concerns that the residents had. And importantly, the residents in the area, a lot of them are very much anticipating the opening of Bernie's, and I think they're looking forward to the transfer of the liquor license so we can move forward with this. The group in particular, the Civic Association, for whom I don't pretend to speak, and I don't pretend that they are 100% happy and on board, but with some of the members of the board of that group with whom I've spoken, they want this to be a success. It is going to happen in their point of view, and at this point, to do anything to hinder that success is really going to be detrimental, not just for, obviously, their point of view for the neighborhood and bad for Bernie's. It's going to be bad all around. So I would encourage all the commissioners on here to vote positively for the transfer application. I thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farron. Any other questions from commissioners? All right, any questions from staff? I don't see anyone from the public having signed up to speak on this issue, so I'll just ask, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? Okay. Just before you come up to the podium, sorry, just in lieu of our, I'm sorry, did someone? Okay. There's a 3-minute time limit, so name and address for the record, please.
Well, Andrew Santana representing the applicant here. Okay. I'm happy to stay within 3 minutes. I had intended to present testimony. It sounds as though the commissioners are well aware of this project, and I won't bore all of you with going through it again, but certainly I can give you some sense of it, and if it's all right, I'd like to bring Eric up to sort of give the commissioners some comfort that in addition to the land development and non-conforming conditional use approval that has been granted, that certainly the business will operate in a reputable manner.
Before we get started, if you would you place your right hand on the Bible? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and business address for the record, please.
Eric Kretschmann.
Excuse me, Eric, can you come into the microphone, please? Sure. Thank you, sir.
Eric Kretschmann. The business address is 391 Highland Avenue, Glenside, PA 19046. Is that the one?
038.
038 there, sorry.
It's not going to start.
I'm not getting mail there yet anyway.
KRETSCHNAM.
Thank you, Commissioners, and let me just, again, give you the assurance I hope that you need to be comfortable that this license is and should be transferred to this township. As mentioned, this license is currently used at a Bernie's Pub in Orland, in Central Orland, Springfield Township. The idea is to transfer it here into Jenkintown, into Abington Township. I won't go through the project, as you are well aware of that project, but I do want to put on the record some information about the license itself and the operation. So, Eric, would you describe for us sort of your intent for the restaurant, how it will be operated, and the type of food and the service that will be given?
As stated before, it's a family-style restaurant with an upscale American cuisine, and I think the menu was provided to everybody at the initial hearings that we had.
Thank you. Okay. And as part of the approval that this board did make, a conditional use approval, there were a series of conditions attached to that approval affecting your operation of the restaurant and certainly the character and the condition and the materials used in the construction of the building. Have you read that decision?
I have.
And are you willing and will the restaurant comply with all of those conditions?
I am.
Okay. Thank you. And it's my understanding that following that decision, the Civic Association, the Glenside Civic Association, did appeal this board's decision. But subsequent to that appeal, there was a settlement. Are you aware of that settlement?
I am.
And in that settlement, there was a stipulation entered of the record between the township and that civic association and various residents. Are you aware of that?
I am.
And have you read that?
I have.
Okay. And in that stipulation, there are certain conditions imposed upon your operation in addition to those imposed by this board. Have you read those conditions?
I have.
And you're willing to comply with those conditions?
I am.
Wonderful. Thank you. So you're currently operating this license at Bernie's Pub in Orland?
Correct.
Have you ever been cited by the state police, by the Liquor Control Board, or any local authority for violations of the liquor code?
We have not.
Have you been cited by any of those agencies for any other violations of any law, local noise ordinances or anything else?
We have not.
Right. Okay. And why are you moving this license here as opposed to buying a license that may or may not be available in this township? What's the relationship between the transferor and the transferee entities?
They're essentially the same. We're just simply moving from a smaller facility to a larger
So
facility.
you own both of those entities, correct?
I do, 100%.
Great. Okay. And based on your intended operation and your experience in Orland, do you foresee your operations here as a transfer of the license creating any disturbance of the health, welfare, peace, or morals of Jenkintown or Abington Township or any of its residents?
We do not.
And why do you feel that that's the case?
It's essentially an upscale place, and it's essentially the same type of neighborhood, and I don't see the operations being drastically different in nature, simply in size.
Great. Thanks. That's all the questions I have. I'll offer the board if they have any questions of Mr. Kretschmann. He's available.
Any questions of the applicant? Okay. Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me, if I could, just one quick closing. And as I mentioned, as you heard in the testimony, I think this board has considered this. Certainly the board has, well within its rights, imposed a number of conditions upon the operation of the restaurant intended to protect the character of the neighborhood and the residents, and certainly the applicant will comply with those. In addition to those conditions, the Civic Association and several residents individually have reached an agreement with the township and with the landowner and with Mr. Kretschmann as to certain operating conditions and the character and the hours, for example, of the restaurant, and certainly we will comply with those as well. The restaurant and the license have never been cited for Liquor Control Board violations or any other legal violations, and we intend to continue that excellent exemplary record. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And if I'm not mistaken, I did ask for any comments from residents. Councilor, should I read the motion prior to taking a vote on it?
You can close the public hearing and then call the motion.
So at this time, I'll close the public hearing and read the motion to adopt resolution number 15-024 for the transfer of liquor license number R19572 for the use by Orland Associates LLC in the operation of Bernie's Restaurant at 391 Highland Avenue, Jenkintown, PA, at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on August 13, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. At this time, I'd like to, why don't we go for a roll call vote, if we would please, want to roll on that this evening?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. So the motion passes. So no objections, no one in opposition. Thank you very much.
You brought all that extra tape, too.
We'll just take a 30-second recess. Okay. Commissioner Sanchez, if you're ready, we can go back to your formal agenda. sir.
I am ready, President Luker.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Back to CE3. This is subdivision SD 1503, Brown Street Associates, 2066 Moreland Road. This is a motion to approve the subdivision application of Brown Street Associates, owner of the property located at 2066 Moreland Road. The owner seeks approval to subdivide the property into 2 lots. Lot number 1 will contain the existing single-family dwelling and consist of 10,038 square feet. Lot number 2 is plotted at 9,532 square feet for a new single-family dwelling and the existing 2-car detached garage. Both proposed lots conform to the dimensional requirements of Section 3043 of the zoning ordinance. The properties are zoned in the R4 residential district in Ward number 10 of the Township of Abington. And the motion is subject to the following conditions and waivers as listed in the agenda, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Commissioner Heckler.
Thank you, Commissioner Luker. So I attended the Planning Commission meeting about this a few weeks ago, and I've had the opportunity to discuss with the property developers some of the potential privacy concerns of the neighbors. They are amenable to sitting down with the neighbors to talk about those concerns, which we're going to try to get done in the next week. And if I'm correct, Mark, this is a conforming application, and so they're not asking for anything that would substantially deviate from the township code.
No, sir, they are not.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Next, we have CE4. This is resolution number 15026, transfer of liquor license number R15994, Dino's Backstage LLC, 285, 287, and 289 North Keswick Avenue. This is a motion to advertise a public hearing on resolution number 15026 for the transfer of liquor license number R15994, Dino's Backstage LLC, 285, 287, and 289 North Keswick Avenue for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on September 10th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Any from residents?
Excuse me,
I'm sorry, Commissioner Gillespie.
thank you. It's not my ward, but this is really going to be it's a great project, so hopefully when we get to this, everybody will be in favor.
Okay.
And the first round's on Commissioner Gillespie.
Okay.
Any other comments from commissioners? Again, staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And finally, we have CE5. This is resolution number 15027, transfer of liquor license number R17136, C&D Brewing Company of Huntington Valley. This is a motion to advertise a public hearing on resolution number 15027 for the transfer of liquor license number R-17136, C&D Brewing Company of Huntington Valley, for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on September 10th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners?
Yeah, this is Iron Hill Brewery, correct? Yeah.
So I have a question or comment, maybe Lauren can answer this. So we're looking at these 2 transfers of liquor licenses. Are they coming from an organization or a company and just advertising to transfer their liquor license into these buildings, or are they being transferred from another place, as we just discussed with Bernie's Pub?
So it's different than the one that was just in front of us. Mr. Crashman owned the liquor license that was located in Orland and transferring it in. Both of these liquor licenses are actually coming out of Upper Providence Township and are currently owned by third parties that are no longer in business and proposed to be transferred in.
Okay. Well, how will that affect, we already talked about Bernie's Pub being one of a percentage of how many you said, I
You
forget.
can have one liquor license per 3,000 residents in the township, and the
Correct.
township has already exceeded that quota,
We've already exceeded, so now we're going.
as has every municipality in the Commonwealth.
I'm sure. So now we're going 3 over, or, you know.
We may have more.
There may be more over the years that I'm not aware of. The 3 right back-to-back is certainly unusual, but
Is that unusual for a municipality to have that? Have you?
I have 2 more pending in another municipality. I don't know why 5 came in right at the same time, but
You know, the interesting part is it's a totally antiquated system that survives in Pennsylvania and other states, or it's just not as rigid. But we control liquor very, very carefully here in this state. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's anytime you want to open a restaurant, what you got to do is go procure a liquor license. You try to buy one.
Yeah.
If you can't buy it in your township, you got to buy it in another township and then get it transferred over. And it's just common here, unfortunately.
Now in Pennsylvania, they've talked about changing that law, but they haven't done that yet, so we're still.
they did make an adjustment at our last year or the year before with regard to club licenses, but for restaurant liquor licenses, those are maxed out in the state, I believe. And so they're shifted around and resold.
I mean, I welcome the business, I think, in Abington. I think both these are good assets, or all 3 of them will be good assets for our township and bring people to Abington. So, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. This is for the Iron Hill Brewery. It is in Ward 3. It's in the Huntington Valley Shopping Center. Its potential, that shopping center is vital to the community. Ever since I can remember as a child, that has been a hub of the area. The success of that shopping center is very important to the community. So I would very much like to see this succeed, and I think it'll be a good thing. It will be an even better thing if it can be paired and continue to operate with the Corner Cafe, which is there as well. And hopefully we'll be able to see that one day. But this project is a good project, and I would appreciate everybody giving it great consideration.
Commissioner Spiegelman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The question, I guess, for Solicitor Gallagher or Zoning Officer Pennecow. Following up on Commissioner Kalinowski's question, it sounds like we don't have some inordinate number of liquor licenses per capita relative to the rest of the Commonwealth. Mark, you don't have any figures on where we are as far as the ratio, how far past that 1 to 3,000 ratio we are?
I don't know that it's untrackable. I'm sure if we contacted the LCB, they could tell us exactly how many liquor licenses. And remember, there's different types of liquor licenses. We're talking about restaurant liquor licenses as opposed to carry-out or club licenses, BYOB licenses. I'm sure the LCB could provide that number for you, and we certainly know the number of residents based on the last census. So it's simple math. Just have to make a phone call.
But it's safe to say we're not Booze Town, Pennsylvania, and 2 more liquor licenses is not going to turn us into Booze Town, Pennsylvania.
I don't think Old York Road serves as Delaware Avenue, if that's what you're asking. Right.
Not yet.
I think he said booze, not.
We're actually Liquor Town, not Booze Town. We're a step up.
We are a step up. We're very classy. Thank
Any
you.
other comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes our business for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Commissioner Schreiber, Director of Public Safety, is next.
Thank you, President Luker. PS1 is an ordinance number, hold on, lost my place. Motion to adopt ordinance number 3002, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, parking prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on August 13th, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? From staff? Any comments from residents? Sir, name and address for the record, please. And again, a reminder of a 3-minute time limit. Thank you, sir.
Just start now.
Yes, sir.
My name is Raymond Bell. I live on Parkview Avenue, and I just have a question, probably relative to PS1 and PS2. while I understand that these ordinance changes is for the primary safety of the township, what I get concerned about is that it sounds good, but the enforcement of these particular items, is that going to create more of a burden on the police department to enforce these changes? I mean, like stop signs, no parking between signs. You know, when you have these regulations, they sound good, but my question is the enforceability of those by the police department. My question is whether the police department is going to be able to enforce all of these ordinances, these two ordinances.
Chief, did you want to weigh in on that?
Mr. President, being that the budget's coming up, maybe I should be saying this a different way, but...
Can I retract that?
Seriously, this is not only not a problem, but it is going to allow our officers to do a better job for the citizens. These are all based on complaints that have been received that we try to respond to for the citizens. We're unable to because of the lack of signage, and this signage will allow us to do that. So it's actually going to make our job easier and also be able to make it better for the citizens. So I'd say that's a win-win.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Any other comments from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
PS2 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 3003, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 14, Stop Intersections, and Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, Parking Prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, and Section 28, Special Purpose Parking Zones, for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on September 10th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners, staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
And finally, motion, PS3 is a motion to promote Detective Sean Nesbitt to the rank of probationary sergeant effective August 17th, 2015, provided he successfully completes the remaining portions of the promotional process, and I so move.
Second. The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
And that concludes our agenda this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Shriver. Commissioner John Spiegelman, Director of Public Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Public Affairs has only one item tonight, and that is PA1, Resolution Number 15-028, Property Acquisition 1004 Irvin Road. This is a motion to approve Resolution Number 15-028, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement for sale for 1004 Irvin Road, tax parcel number 30-00-32540-00-1, for the consideration of $335,000, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners?
Yes, this is,
Commissioner Jones?
thank you, sir. This is the property in Ward 3 we're all aware of. It's been quite a long time. It's been a lot of work that's been done by the township staff, a lot of cooperation between the staff and between the resident, and I think it's ultimately going to be good for everyone, so I'd appreciate this final approval.
Okay. Any other comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes.
And that concludes the Public Affairs agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Commissioner Tom Hecker, Assistant Director of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, President Luker. We'll begin tonight's business with the Treasurer's Report. I'd like to call on Township Treasurer Jay Blumenthal.
Thank you, Commissioner Hecker. I'll just make it nice, sweet, simple. My report's on the last page on both sides. I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Treasurer Blumenthal. We will move on to FC1, investments. This is a motion to approve investments for the month of June, as previously circulated to the board. It was noted that investments for the month totaled $744,000. Interest rate yields ranged from 0.75% to 1.10%, and I so move.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff or residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
FC2, expenditures, salaries, and wages. This is a motion to A, approve the June expenditures as previously circulated to the board in the amount of $2,237,198.81, and salaries and wages in the amount of $1,765,509.55. And B, authorize the proper officials to sign vouchers in payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of September 2015, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zepone?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Kalinowski?
Yes.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Bowman? DePlacido?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Gillespie?
Yes.
Ecker?
Yes.
Yes.
Klein? Stevens?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We move on to FC3, which is training and conference expenses. And this is a motion to approve the advance and travel expense activity for June 2015 as previously circulated to the board. Advance and travel expense reports were $0 and $3,601.05 respectively. 6-month expenses totaled $25,521.22, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff or residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
And finally, FC4, Clearing Fund, Deferred Revenue, and Expense Petty Cash. So this is a motion to approve the Clearing Fund, the Deferred Revenue Expense Activity, and Petty Cash balances for the month of June as previously circulated to the board. June petty cash balances previously circulated to the board. Clearing Fund receipts and disbursements for the month of June 2015 were $785.55 and $0 respectively. Deferred revenue, expense receipts, and disbursements for the month of June were $82.90 and $5,618.34 respectively, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you, President Luker. That concludes our business.
And that concludes our formal agenda for this evening. So at this time, I'd like to ask, are there any comments from residents? Name and address, please.
Victor B. Cruden, 3505 Westmoreland Road. I don't know if all of you are aware of this, but we had a number of people in Abington that were the victim of a crime at the Abington Post Office, but thanks to the outstanding work by the Abington Police, the 2 guys that committed the crime were captured and they were sentenced. One guy got 23 months in the big house. And he won't be working at the post office anymore, that's for sure. And what they did was they had cameras, and as people went in there to pay for something, they would actually take pictures of their credit card. They really got to be very careful. And then they used the credit card to make other purchases, and that's how they got caught. But again, the police were very sharp, very professional, and we got these lugs off the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from residents?
Edith Schmidt, Elite Florals, 1160 Bradfield Road. I just want to thank the commissioners and the Abington Township for truly supporting the businesses of their township. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments from residents? If that's it, I'll ask, I'm sorry. Chief Kelly, I was just asked if you would want to make any comments regarding the Pope's visit, anything that you want to convey to the residents that Abington is doing in preparation for that?
Yes, Mr. President, just a couple things quickly. As most of the members of the board and members of the staff know, there's going to be on Monday night at 7 o'clock, there's going to be, actually 7:30, 7:45, there's going to be a Emergency Management Council meeting in the Public Safety Training Center immediately following the Fire Board meeting, which starts at 7:30. And so we think it'll be about 7:45. And it's not normal that all of the members of the board or the staff attend, but we've invited them all this time because there's the possibility of this visit having some more significant impact on Abington Township than most events. And so we wanted you to be able to be there. Part of the important thing is getting the correct information out to the citizens. Now, that's difficult because it seems like it's changing with great regularity, and we're hearing different things at different times. But I think that we can reassure our citizens that we're going to be prepared to handle whatever comes up because we're going into such great depth and length to prepare for it, and to bring in all of our additional personnel. Our entire command staff is going to be working that weekend so that we have command personnel available to make any critical decisions that are necessary to be made. And so I think that we're going to be in very good shape for that. The challenge that we're facing in Abington is that unlike other communities that know they're going to get slammed, or other ones that know they're going to escape without too much impact whatsoever, we're kind of in the middle, and it's difficult to know. We don't have a train station that is going to be used, so therefore we don't have that to worry about, and the Pope is staying in Lower Merion, and so we don't have to worry about being proximate to that or some of the other things. But of course, with Old York Road being something that many people consider as a primary way to get down there, and being that's going to be blocked off at a certain point in Philadelphia, therefore jamming everything up, we're concerned about will that back up into our town and virtually bisect Abington Township, cut it in half with one big long line of traffic. The other issue that we have, and it's not being talked about very much, but I think it's very wise for us to be thinking about, is actually Sunday night, when everybody's trying to get out of Philadelphia. And they're going to be hitting all kinds of different things, with certain roads going to be closed off, and we know that Old York Road is going to be ones that Philadelphia is going to open up. There's a possibility of a great outpouring at that particular point, and so we're going to be prepared to try to handle that, although that's going to again be numbers that are probably going to be difficult for anybody to handle in that situation. And finally, the other issue is that we're considering, well, what do we have to do to protect our primary assets in town? And in particular, we're talking about our hospitals and our emergency rooms. Abington Hospital is one of the nearest trauma centers to the area where all of this is going to be taking place. It is the closest one outside of the box that they're closing off in Philadelphia. So if there is something like any type of activity or injuries, or certainly if there's any type of terrorist activities and so on, there's going to be a natural tendency that we're going to have to protect those assets. Even if it's not something that happens in Abington, there's going to be a natural tendency to be going to those sites. So those are all the different types of things that we're, and actually there are only a small number of the things we're considering, but they're give you an outline of some of the things we're considering right now and planning for. And we invited everyone to the meeting for two reasons. Number one, to get the information out to the best we can. And secondly, because there will be a backup plan in case something catastrophic happens. We really don't think that's going to happen. We don't think it's going to have any major impact on Abington Township. But if there is something catastrophic that happens, there will be a plan in place that will involve large masses of the township employees, and we'll be ready to for just about anything that comes along, at least as much as you can be ready for something of that scale. So I did want to tell you that, Mr. Chairman, and again, we welcome any of the members of the board or the staff, as well as the department heads who have already been advised about that. And if they are able to make it, we'd certainly be happy to have them there. Meeting isn't going to be terribly long, but we'll be able to answer any questions that any members of the staff might have. So we wanted to notify you about that. And also, while I have the microphone, Traffic Safety Manager Al Freed asked me to remind the board that before our next meetings, of course, we'll be back into September, which puts us back into the Traffic Safety Blitz month. So just, again, if you have any interest in more signs or any particular thing, certainly contact him in the intervening weeks, and we'll be all set for the new one that starts September 1st.
Chief, just briefly, the meeting is Monday evening. The time and location again is?
It's actually right after the fire board meeting. The fire board meeting starts at 7:30. It's probably going to be only about 7:45 that they'll be finished, only 15 minutes or so, and then we'll be able to start at about 7:45. You're welcome to arrive at 7:30 and see the fire board in action if you choose to. They do such great work for Abington Township, of course. And so that's 7:45, and it's the Public Safety Training Building over on Flory Lane.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll get comments from commissioners at this time. I'll start with Commissioner DePlacido.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to thank Director Powers and the engineering department for the fantastic job that they're doing with the creek bed repair. Please thank Tim personally for me. He's been out there since the beginning, and all the residents have nothing but positive things to say about it. Thank you very much. And quickly, when driving through Abington Township, whether a papal visit or not, please drive like your kids live here. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, I'm going to change up. Commissioner Zapone.
No comment.
Commissioner Farron.
Thank you, President Luker.
Doing this?
First time that's happened.
Thank you, President Luker. This past week, Glenside lost one of the staples of our community. Mike Hensley passed away suddenly just about 2 weeks ago. And if you know Mike Hensley, he was a 37-year veteran of the Glenside Fire Department. At 19, he founded Everlasting Fence Company, which I'm sure many of us have used at multiple points in and around our homes. I had the good pleasure of getting to know Mike and his family because his daughter was one of my daughter's first friends in grade school. And over the past couple of years, getting to know Mike and Megan and their family has just been an incredible experience. Mike was an enormous man. If you knew him, he was 6 foot and a very, very large and physically imposing man, but just kind of a teddy bear of a giant. And he impressed everybody with his kindness and with his willingness to help. And you could see in his interactions with his wife and with his kids what kind of a man he was and what kind of a person he was. And we're devastated. Our family's devastated. Our neighborhood's devastated. We had an incredible outshowing of support from our neighbor fire departments and Fire Marshal Clark. Offer my thanks to him and to the surrounding neighborhoods and surrounding fire companies who came out to support the Hensley family and to honor Mike and his commitment and service to the neighborhood. And I'd just like at this time to ask everybody to keep the family in your prayers. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Farron. Commissioner Sanchez.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gillespie.
Nothing this evening for me either.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. Just a shout out for a terrific pre-night out last Monday, and a real thank you to Dave Rondinelli and the entire Town Watch Council. They did a terrific job as always, and whoever was responsible for the weather, right on.
Thank you. Commissioner Hecker.
Thank you, Commissioner Luker. I want to echo Commissioner Meyer's comments. I thought the event was outstanding, and I look forward to it again next year. Also wanted to take a moment to say that I had my first personal experience tonight with an unpermitted solicitor who came to my door as I was leaving to come to this meeting. And I want to remind Township residents that you are within your rights to request to see a permit when someone comes to the door. This particular individual was very rude and aggressive and demanding to see my Pico Energy bill so they could get my account code. And when I asked for the permit, they did not have it. This group is called Direct Sales Solutions. They are a subsidiary of Major Energy, and they're looking to try to pull your business and doing it in a circular fashion. According to the township's website, the only outside group that is permitted to solicit in Abington in the month of August is Renewal by Anderson. So please bear that in mind, and if you have any questions, call the police immediately. Thank you.
Commissioner Hecker, good stuff. Thank you. Commissioner Markman.
No comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. I'd like to thank also Dave Rondinelli, who did a fantastic job in mediating a neighbor situation that was kind of tense, and he did it skillfully and tactfully. Would also like to thank our officers, Lieutenant Warner and also Officer Alfrey, for doing a lot of work on the safety of Township in Ward 3. And I'd like to follow up and echo what Commissioner DePlacido said. The projects that are happening, the creek projects in McKinley, are phenomenal. The transformation has been amazing, and one of those was a result of Tim Clark, who had an on-the-fly idea and actually has raised somebody's backyard by 4 or 5 feet. So I've heard of people raising the roof. He's raising backyards, which is pretty impressive. And finally, we have a McKinley barbecue, which is going to be September 26th at Albathorpe Park from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. People need to RSVP by August 29th. If you're from McKinley, you should come. I don't know if we're taking people outside of McKinley, but you know.
Yeah, we'll let them in.
Like barbecue.
Everybody's welcome.
A lot.
But it's, we just do it so much better in McKinley. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Okay. Commissioner Kalinowski.
Yeah, Larry's on vacation. Mark's been doing a great job, and I want to say thank you to Mark Pennicow for the work he's done, and Doug Wendell for addressing the situation in Ward 6 and getting right back to me on that situation. I don't know if we brought it up in July. I was absent at the meeting, but the fill a cop car with food really was a huge success, and Lieutenant Kelly Warner's back there. She's our lieutenant here, and I just want to say hi to her. She was there that day, and Giant there in Huntington Valley. They did a fantastic job, so just a shout out to all of them.
I'm remiss in forgetting that. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegelman.
Just quick word of thanks to Mr. Pennicow and also to Officers Freed and Posey and to the additionally absent Mr. Mateo for a lot of help that I've received in Ward 11. Other than that, have a safe and happy rest of the summer.
Okay. Commissioner Shriver.
No comment.
Chief Kelly, you have a comment, sir.
Mr. President, members of the board, I just want to tell you, some of you heard about the missing person that we had, the senior citizen that walked away from St. Joseph's Manor last night. And it was effort all day long by a ton of people working on it, trying to find him. And they actually did find him, not far away, actually, off of Morden Road, in a creek. He was actually laying in a creek. So he wouldn't have survived very much longer had they not been found. And it was just an incredible effort, especially when you consider there was no fear of foul play or of imminent danger. So a lot of places probably would have just said, well, gee, we hope he comes back, or, let us know when he comes back. And it was a great effort by a lot of people, a lot of volunteers. Township staff was involved in it, and the fire companies were involved, and it was a great job. And fortunately, he was found. And the other thing I wanted to tell you was that if you've signed up for that month already, we've talked about that previously. It was really unbelievable. You get on your phone or your pad the notice that first of all he was missing, and then a second one later on that he was still missing. And then within minutes of him being located, you got a notification telling you that he was located. And it's just such an incredible system to be able to be that in touch with what's going on in our township on major things like that. It's really a neat thing, and I hope we can continue to press our citizens to sign up for it, because it's really an amazing system that we now have. It's something that is beyond anything we've ever had before. It is the Cadillac of those systems out there, and it has the capability of keeping us in touch like nothing we've ever had before. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. I also want to say thank you to all those who helped put together the pre-night out. It was a fantastic event, and to Peggy Myers' point, it was a beautiful evening. And I also want to thank our council tonight. For those who were watching, our lead counsel was on vacation, so we had First Chair Lauren. And for those who haven't seen him on TV yet, Noah is sitting to my left. Wave Noah to the camera. So the junior partner in the firm. So for those who are watching, it's a very awesome team that we are represented by. So I want to thank you for your attendance this evening. And lastly, I just want to thank all my colleagues and staff for your comments at last month's meeting. I was going to have a prepared statement this evening, but what you folks said last week, there's nothing for me to say. So I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate it very much. So with that, thank you all for your attendance this evening, and that concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you.
Very nice.